Hello everyone, welcome to this video where I am going to be sharing 9 tips to pass the Microsoft Azure AZ-900 exam. So recently I took the Microsoft Azure Fundamental exam and I passed the exam. So now I want to help you guys in your studies to be able to pass this exam too. So I'm going to be giving you guys 9 tips to pass the AZ-900 exam. So the first tip is commit to a date. So committing to a date is very important. In our mind, we have a date in our mental calendar or when we plan to take the exam. I'm not suggesting necessarily book the exam, but at least have a date penciled in your mind when you are going to plan to take the exam. For example, if today is the 9th of March, then take the exam on the 10th of April, for example. Give myself a month to pass to study for the exam, and mentally have in that date penciled in my mind. Write it down in your phone, write it down in your diary, in your calendar, but get serious and seriously have a date in your mind when you plan to take the exam, so that you have that drive in you, that motivation in you to study. Because when you don't have that, then studying is much more difficult when you don't have a date in your calendar or when you're going to be taking the exam. So please commit to a date when you plan to take the exam first. Then second, watch John Saville's course Starter. And this is I really recommend John Saville's course. If you're not familiar with John Saville, he is a Microsoft Azure trainer on YouTube, and he has amazing content which is for free for the public benefit. And honestly, he is absolutely brilliant. He's an expert in Microsoft Azure, and he's sharing his knowledge out there for free. So please, I definitely recommend that you watch John Saville's videos. But also, if you find other trainers that you are benefiting from, there's other great Microsoft Azure trainers. I totally understand and I acknowledge that there are other trainers out there as well, but I recommend John Saville. Also recommend Adam Marczak. Now, Adam Marczak also has a brilliant Azure AZ-900 course, which I also used. So these two trainers I definitely recommend. And the great thing is that they're both on YouTube, and so you can watch their videos for free without having to pay for any subscription. There are great subscription services out there, CBT Nuggets, for example, but with the benefit with these two trainers that you don't need to spend $1. So yeah, these two trainers I definitely recommend. Number 3 now is the Microsoft Learn Azure Fundamentals course. This is really good for you guys. It has breaks the course down into modules which you can complete on the Microsoft Learn website, and so you are reading the theory behind the skill outline, with the actual skill outline, the curriculum for the exam. So this is a lot of reading. However, Microsoft Learn, the great thing about the Microsoft Learn course is that it's really friendly. It's quite user friendly in terms of how the course material, how the course is written out. It's very easy to digest. It's bite sized. It's a bite sized course, so you can complete unit by unit by unit, and before you know it, you've completed one like module for that course. So it's once you do the Microsoft Learn course, you honestly you're flying through it, because it's just so well laid out. The courses, they're absolutely brilliant, and they have little quizzes as well, so you can test yourselves on to really make sure that you understand the key points behind the topics. So I definitely recommend the Microsoft Learn course. It's free as well. So that's you can access through the Microsoft Azure AZ-900 certification page. Once you go to the certification page on Microsoft's website, you will be able to click onto the Microsoft Learn course. So I'll also put a link in the description for you guys as well. So you can go and access that course for free. And speaking of free, number 4 is to sign up for a free Microsoft Azure account. Now, there is a free Azure account where you can create an account and get $200 of free credit, so that you can get that hands-on exposure to Azure. Because I honestly believe that without hands-on exposure, you're going to have a hard time really studying for this exam. It's so important to be able to recognize and to be familiar with these technologies, and the ultimate way to do that is to do it. So I definitely recommend having the Azure free account. You got $200 of free credit. You don't have to worry about going over the limit, because these accounts are set up in a way that if you were to exceed the $200, then your services basically get shut down. So you don't have to worry that you're going to be exceeding that $200. And yeah, you can access over 20 popular Microsoft Azure services using the free account. So highly recommend that you get your hands-on experience with that. Now, number 5 is going to study habits now, making a routine to study every day. It's important to have a good place in your home where you can study, to have that time where you are not going to be distracted, so that you can buckle down and make the time to study. That's really, really important. So some people it's the morning, some people it's the late nights. It obviously depends on your work routine or your whichever routine you have, depending on your own circumstances. But yes, if you're if you're a working person, you work 8 to 5 or 9 to 5, it might be before work, it might be after work, once everything's once you've come home from work and you've had your dinner, and you have that bit of free time that you normally might be on social media or TV. That can be your time to study. But yeah, it's very important that you have that time so you can study every single day, because it needs to be a daily thing. You might have a bad day here or there where you might not get enough time, you might not get to put in the time, but even if you get 5, 10, 15 minutes, it's still a bit of progress. So taking us now to number 6 is the free Microsoft practice test. There's a free Microsoft practice test. Remember what I said about Microsoft Learn? If you go to the Microsoft official AZ-900 certification page, there's a link to take you onto the Microsoft Learn course. There's also a link that will take you to the free practice test. So this is something I definitely also recommend. So look at this, free. You get training for free. You can have hands-on exposure to Azure for free. You got a free Microsoft Learn course. So, where you can go unit by unit and read the material relating to the exam, and a free Microsoft practice test. So Microsoft and the Microsoft Azure community have really made some really great study materials, study resources here that are free. So this is another one to take advantage of, and it's so important to have an understanding of what the practice tests are going to be like, so that we are really prepare ourselves well for the exam. So this is something I also highly recommend to do. Second, now 7th is about focusing. Now focusing means cutting down the noise in your life, and it kind of goes back to what I was saying about making the routine. But we need to reduce the noise in our life. And reduce those activities which can basically steal our time. So when we're studying for an exam, it's important to cut those down, those distractions. That could be TV, that could be social media, it could be something else. But we need to try and create the time every day to study and focus. So that means saying no to distractions or invitations to maybe social activities, because we're all limited on our time, and sometimes we just have to say no in order to really focus and do the things which are going to really help us in the long term, not just the short term. So it might be saying no to a to a night out with friends, or maybe not going to watch a football game or something like that. But in the long term, what's the benefit? The benefit is that we're getting a certification, which will help us in our career. So focus is so important, and focus is about, it's not people think it's about saying yes. It's about saying no. Actually, it's about saying no, so you can put your attention and your attention and yourself. You can apply yourself to what really matters and what's really going to make a difference in your life. And number 8, now this is about understanding the fundamental differences between the different Azure service offerings. Now, when we look at Azure, it has many many services, many bells and whistles, so to speak. So there's different types of services relating to different things. So, for example, we have different storage. So there's different storage offerings. We have table storage, queue storage, file storage, blob storage. We need to understand what the fundamental differences are between them, what the pros are, what the cons are of each type of storage, so that we get asked a question about Azure storage options, we're not confused between, what is this blob storage? Is it table storage? Oh no, is it queue storage? Because we know those inside out, just like how you know the different, how you can differentiate between different people is the same, is kind of the same way. We need to understand the different, what are the different attributes of each type of service, so we're not getting confused. So this is when our memory is, this is something that really requires that memory power, and this can be, our understanding has to be, we need to keep ensuring that we don't get these confused. So it's important to regularly review these kind of things, especially as we're coming close to the exam. So flashcards are really helpful. Flashcards to understand the differences between the different types of services. So something I will try and put out soon, and this is something for you guys to definitely watch my channel community section. If you watch the community section, I will be releasing flashcards to help you guys with the AZ-900 exam, so that you can test yourselves on the different type of storage options, for example, but also other types of services. For example, the different cloud servicing models. We have infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software as a service. We need to know the differences between these, so that we can, there's no misunderstanding, there's no confusion when it comes to the exam, because the exam questions are written in a way where we can get them confused. It's natural. It's just how the the nature of the exam questions are. So it's so important to know the differences. So when you're learning, ensure that you don't just read something and think, okay, blob storage, I think I know what I mean. I know what that's about. I think, okay, file storage, queue storage. No, it's blob storage does this, doesn't do this. File storage does this, doesn't do this. What's the differences here? What's the pros? When would I use blob storage? When would I use table storage? When would you recommend queue storage? Why shouldn't you use file storage for such and such? It's knowing them, the ins and the outs, when to use something, when you don't use something, when to recommend a service. It's that level of knowledge that we need to have of these services. And so this also comes back to why we need to have hands-on exposure to Azure, because without that familiarity, it's hard to even know, because you're kind of guessing, because you don't really understand these services to begin with. So yes, and this is what I definitely recommend, that you really know the differences between the Azure services, because there's so many. It's so vast, Azure, and it's just without that high level understanding, we are going to fall into a trap which we don't want to fall into. And this takes us to number 9, believing in yourself. Life throws so many obstacles at a person, and it's natural at times where our studies all suffer because life gets in the way. But it's important to continuously believe in ourselves, and I'm saying this because without self confidence, without belief in yourself, without believing in yourself, then it doesn't matter what else I can recommend. Without that believing, without self confidence, without belief, self belief, believing in yourself, then it doesn't really matter what else I can recommend to you guys. If you don't believe that you can do it, so, and like I was saying earlier, time. If we struggle with time, if there's a day where we don't get enough time because life gets in the way, doesn't matter. Whatever time you do get, even if it's 5-10 minutes, little pockets of time. Sometimes we don't get the block of time that we wanted to, an hour or an hour and a half. But you had 10 minutes here, 5 minutes there. You had 5, and you were waiting for a bus, for example. You had 10 minutes. Why not open Microsoft Learn on your phone and read a bit of Microsoft Learn, or watch a video by John Savile, or do some flashcards. There's always opportunities, little opportunities in the day that we can use to study in the car. As long as you're not being distracted while driving, you can play a YouTube video in the car. So there's so many other opportunities where we can study. But it all comes back to believing in yourself. Believing is that positive affirmation that I can do it. Doesn't matter what happens. I will put in the time. I will make the time, and I will pass this exam. And if you believe in yourself, if you put your mind to it, you can achieve anything, like they say. So that brings me to the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, and share this. Please share this with your colleagues who also trying to study for the Microsoft Azure AZ-900 exam. And please stay tuned for new videos. Thank you so much.